see. It says extra padding. Okay, let's see. Almost ready. All right. Good morning, welcome. Thanks for watching along. Let's go and see Grover. Remove this one too. And turn this off. All right, welcome. Good morning, happy Saturday. For anybody that might be new, my name is Tim. I go by FomaGuy on GitHub and Discord. We're working on CircuitPython stuff on this stream. If you don't know what that is, you can learn more at circuitpython.org. Basically, it's a version of Python that can run on tiny computers called microcontrollers. Plug it into your computer, usually with a USB cable. Shows up like a thumb drive. You can edit there's a Python code file on the thumb drive. You can edit it and save it, and then when you save it, the microcontroller that's inside these little devices will actually interpret and execute that Python code for you. And then you can interact with all sorts of other electronic doodads and stuff, which is kind of the primary purpose of microcontrollers, to kind of make other things go, turn on lights, turn on other equipment, turn on and off stuff, read sensors, you know, display stuff onto screens, all kinds of stuff like that you can do with these devices. And if you choose to use CircuitPython, then you can program this way where you're able to just write Python code on there, which is super neat. As always, huge thanks to Adafruit. Adafruit is a company that pays for CircuitPython to exist. CircuitPython is an open source project. Anyone's allowed to use it on your own devices in your own projects. Even if you are a company making your own devices or making your own products out of it, it's still free to use. You don't have to pay a license fee or anything like that. Adafruit is the company that makes that possible by paying the team who works on it. There's a team of people who work on CircuitPython full-time and are paid by Adafruit to do so, and there are some people like me paid to work on it part-time, and all the surrounding projects and library and infrastructure. So huge thanks as always to Adafruit. And if you want to help support CircuitPython and Adafruit, one of the easiest ways to do it is just purchase hardware from their website over at adafruit.com. They have the microcontrollers as well as all kinds of stuff that you can hook up to the microcontrollers to do different things with. So today, diving in, we're looking at, I have a lot of Windows and I still need at least one more. All right, it's not running. Today we are anticlimactically having to make this run before we can show you, which is, drumroll please, CircuitPython Web IDE. And I am going to need a device. So let's plug a device in. I don't have the camera set up because there's not really anything to see on the device today. Most of the device is just connected and we're going to see it show up in here. Let's connect this. For anybody who hasn't played with it yet, this is CircuitPython Web Editor, Web IDE. This one is, oh wait, I don't have to choose actually right now. I can just allow, and then here it chooses the right file. Okay, so this is CircuitPython IDE. It can connect over Bluetooth or Wi-Fi, web workflow, but we're using it through USB. I have the device plugged in through a USB cable. You do have to use a Chrome-based browser, so this is Chrome. It has to be relatively up to date. And did I have to go and do that flag thing? I don't remember. You might have to go and do a flag thing. I know you used to have to. I think maybe it's defaulted to on now and you don't have to anymore, but I don't know for sure. Check out the Learn Guide. It will show you how to do it. That's what I did when I first started setting it up. But once you do get it set up and get your device connected, then you have kind of a CircuitPython IDE that you can work within. You can open code files, so we could open code.py and find that it is loading up an accelerometer, or actually I guess a magnetometer sensor. And then just grabbing values from that every 1 second, because we're sleeping right there. Printing it out. In this case, we're printing it in a list, but if you happen to notice, I've commented out a few lines where I printed it as a tuple and another one as just comma-separated string, basically. And all three of those actually work, which is kind of nice. So this is kind of the tester thing I've been using, and then the plotter itself is actually over here. We need to do restart because we would have been in the REPL, I guess, so we need our code to actually run. And then you can start the plotter, and the plotter, it only enables when you open it the first time. So if you noticed, we had a couple of data points printed before I enabled it. Those are not represented in the chart, but now that we have opened it once, we can close it again with the same button. And this is still running, but those new values are actually going to be going into this. So I didn't change it. You can't really tell, but like I could hide this and I could move the sensor around some. And then I could show this, and there's all sorts of craziness happening there now. So it's collecting in the background, but it only starts collecting when you show it the first time. And it's working pretty nicely, but there are some things that I want to still tweak and work through. One of them is the lines are really dark. I don't think we want to use black for the lines if we're going to continue with the same background color here, which I also don't know if we're going to do for sure or not. I just kind of grabbed a color that was contrasty enough of this one to tell a difference. But definitely I want to try to work on these lines and make them not quite so dark. To that end, I've opened up a bunch of documentation pages. This is using chart.js to put those data points onto the chart. And this is the docs for styling all kinds of things, but in particular the grid line, option scales. So the two scales are X and Y for this chart, .grid. So we could try, I do want to try this, grid display false. Maybe we could have a check mark or something. So this is initialized here, setup, plotter, option scales, Y. Need actually to make an X, I guess. Whoops. X. We're not going to bother with min and max on this, but we are going to have, what was it, grid? Is it just grid inside of here? It says option scales, scale ID, yeah, grid. So ours is option scales X, and then grid, and that's going to be now an object, and then display. Display true, display. So I actually want display false, because I want to see what it looks like with those turned off. And again, I have a million of these, and that one is on the far end, which is rather unfortunate. Gosh, I wish I could just drag those. All right, well, I guess I'll either get used to it or it will bother me enough that I change it. We'll see what happens. So it's using Vite. Vite JavaScript framework, I guess. I don't know if it's technically a framework. I don't know what they consider themselves. It's like a utility for JavaScript. It kind of serves a few purposes. One of them is starting new projects. It's kind of like a sort of cookie cutter type thing that will create your project initial structure for you. But another thing that it will do for you is run a server that hosts your project, and it will hot reload stuff for you. So I made a change inside script.js and I saved it. And much like CircuitPython, when you save your code, it runs on the microcontroller. Vite is set up so when you save your code, it will reload your web server. And in our case, what that ends up meaning is it also refreshes the page as well, which means we need to reconnect our device and reopen and do all of this stuff. But once we do that, we can get to here, and yeah. So now there's only horizontal lines, which I don't necessarily hate. I definitely like this better than having all the vertical lines that were there. You know, another thing that I wanted to try was... So this is all kind of modeled after Mu, and one of the things I noticed with Mu is that the... Oh, that's very small, okay. This is 800. That wasn't 800. It's inside the PDF. Open image? It's only 200. Can't open that one by itself. All right, well, anyway, one of the things that the one inside Mu does is it does have vertical line. Well, first of all, the lines are more muted. Although they also are, I mean, we're looking at it in dark mode. Technically, they're kind of flipped. But there's not a line on every data point. So the way chart.js works, or at least the way that it's working how I have it, there's a line on every data point, which makes the chart get pretty cluttered pretty fast. In terms of like visually, it fills in a lot of, right now, darkness because the lines are black, but we are going to change the color too. Lines every now and then might be kind of cool. I don't know if we can do that. What happens if we add a data without a label? So data gets added from workflow, right to terminal, plot values actually, which is in plotter. What if we would not add a label? What would happen? I saved that, therefore this refresh, therefore we do all this again. Whoops. Okay, yeah, those... So we're adding data and like the chart's changing sort of, but the actual points are not getting plotted. We have to add labels. We cannot just add data with no labels. So what I was gonna say is maybe we could just add a label every, 5 datas or whatever, but that's not gonna work. So it does not have, it does actually have horizontal lines as well, okay. Maybe not as many, but that's all in the scale. I think the scale will adjust itself automatically. We might be able to specify how many show at a time, I'm not sure. Okay, well, let's see how it looks with a different color. So do we want to turn those back on? Maybe we could have a check mark to turn them on and off. Alright, what's the color though? Is it just line color? Color. And it goes into ticks. Yeah, so there's no like skip amount or anything that I see. Which is what we would need if we wanted to make it the way that Mu is like vertical lines every now and then, but not every data point. Color. So I think the background is 7s. So let's go maybe it has to be like this. Well, I think it can be a few ways, but I'm gonna do it like this. It's better. I think we even still have room to go closer than that. Yeah. Let's do the horizontal ones too. I would like to try to cut that little gap out there, or not cut it out, but make the weighting thing show sooner. Oh, that didn't work. These are still black. I need grid. Grid. Oops. Alright, we got there eventually. Oh, I clicked out of that, I think, before I was really meant to. Ooh, yeah, I got that into a really weird state, actually. Already open because of said weird state. Oh, that's interesting. Code that breaks it into lines got really confused, seemingly. And it's also seems to be stuck. It's not responding to Control C anymore. Not sure if we're connected, but the microcontroller's in a bad state, or if we got disconnected. Yeah, no, this is not starting. It seems like maybe the microcontroller's in a bad state. Looks like it's in REPL. It's got the white light on, but I think it's actually like alive. CircuitPy drive is there. Just gonna reset it. Actually went back to connected automatically, which is really weird. It's not actually connected though, because Control C doesn't do anything. I'm gonna disconnect and reload this page and see if we start this whole thing again, what happens. Yeah, there we go. Okay, now the horizontal lines are also, I guess it would be lighter. They're closer to the background. They're more muted. Which definitely helps. We could make controls for them. I'm gonna go to HTML. Here's the inputs for... Oh. No. What? Okay, go away now. Thank you. How do I make this go away? What is this interface, guys? What are we doing? Go away. Thank you. Okay, can we delete this too, or no? I don't know. I need to practice Twitch mod controls, apparently. I feel like I'm never able to do what I want to do. Maybe it deletes their message automatically, but it's just continuing to show it to me. I don't know what use that would be, but okay. Yeah. In here, where we have all these things, we could make one... Make a drop down, actually. So we could say grid lines, plot, grid, lines, select. Values are going to be X, Y, and both. And none. X only, Y only. And which one's going to be default? I guess both will be default. Let's just put both, I think. X only, Y only, and then this will be none. None. So this is a plotter, grid lines. I don't think we need select there, I guess. It's fine for now. Plotter, grid lines. And then what we'll do is when we go to plot, we'll check it. When we go to plot, no, let's not do it then. Let's just check it with all the listeners. Which there are none here. Really? Definitely, really. You know, I guess we can add one. I thought, where's the aren't these buttons in there? In here. Button clear? It is. But it doesn't make sense to put this one in here because this one is only in the... It is only in the workflow, really, so... Yeah, I think it should stay in here, and I guess we'll just... Put in the, place we looked it up, I guess, inside the init. Seems fine. And yeah, we have the chart from here, so that's good. Add event listener. The event is, I think change should do it, right? Let's just console log the value. Oops, double clicked. Oh dear. I wonder if I wrecked it. Seems fine. So does this actually log? Okay. Will this actually log if we change this? No. Alright, properties of undefined. Probably didn't. The class? ID? How is it? Cannot read properties of undefined reading value. How? So, yeah, we tried to read value and we failed because plotter grid lines is undefined. But why did this work? Why are we able to say calling add event listener on it if it's undefined? That doesn't make any sense. I don't think it is. What's going on here? Does it happen every time? I should have paid attention to see if it happened when we first connected, or not until the first time. Okay, yeah, it's not happening until we select. That is so weird that it's able to not be undefined to call the listener, and the listener's working because we're changing it and it's getting a callback. But then this is not this inside of here, is it? Maybe this is not this inside of here. Actually, that might be the problem. I don't get any guess on what other is. I don't know for sure what this is on it. Type data. Is that going to be the value that was selected? Do not know. We shall find out. No, undefined. Is there event.target? .value? Yeah, the gap there is like just long enough to make it seem like it's not going to go, but then it does. Still undefined. I should have done target first. I don't think it's going to matter though. I guess we should just do event first and see what else on it. There's console.dir. Object event, not very useful. Event source element dot value, but this says target, and we did target, and that didn't succeed though. Is it not value? Can't you use value to get the selected value? Is there not? I mean, there is a selected value. Now, value 2 should have selected. There's a lot of stuff on here. Why do all of these have... Oh, it doesn't even show me. Oh. Selected true. Value not work? I should automate this part. Okay, that worked. I don't know why it didn't work before, but it worked now. Whoops. Not Python. Event.target.value. So basically, if let's make a variable. Let's see, grid choice equals this event target value. Grid choice. X and Y only, both, and none. And the values we put, and then what we're gonna do is, so we kind of have the same problem though, is we need to actually to be able to access this. I think this is because of the using function here. If we do the weird thing where we put it like this, maybe? This one, I mean? then that changes the way the context works, and maybe I think we're allowed to have access to this in here, maybe? Because really we need to go this dot plotter chart dot options dot scales dot, so this is x, so what we're going to do is x, and then grid, and then display, and then true, and y to false. Flop those around, except for that's wrong, because both of them say true, first of all. If it's both, we go true both, and if it's none, we go false both. That maybe should work. Maybe we need to call update. It will call update whenever a new item gets added. Maybe we should call update explicitly. Oh, okay. It does only take effect when the next update is called, so let's also call update. I mean, these are all hard-coded. Kind of weird to just assume that it will have worked, but I'm gonna do it. Plotter.update, so that that will take effect right away. Alright, so tab enter works there, but tab is a long way off here, probably. There we go. Oh. Wait, those both do the same thing. Okay, both and none work. And then I guess X only works, but Y only does not. I flopped these around, which means these don't need to be flopped around, so these are backwards. There we go. Okay. There is a way to turn the animation off. I would like to see it, I think, without the animation. It's underneath dataset. Interesting. So you get to set it per dataset. There's also options animation, though. What do we set it to? Just all this. That's it. What do we set it to, though? Whoa. Okay, that's a bit much. That is not at all what we want. I want to turn off the animation for when you add an item. Data. Chart.js, disable animation, and add data. equals all animations. That's what I want. Chart.options.animation. So we can do that. Maybe we should do... No, we can't really. Well, we can. We could move this to set up plotter chart, which is currently inside script. We could actually move it to plotter and pass in the workflow. Oh, but the this is not going to work the same in there. We'd have to use workflow. This stop plotter chart's not going to work, but what we would do is ultimately this would accept workflow here, and then that would be workflow.plotter grid lines. Let's actually do that. See if all this stuff works. So let's make this tick a workflow. Let's actually move it to plotter. I don't know why I can't fold that. So now a bunch of these thises a bunch of the thises are going to be workflow. We'll pass workflow into that, and then we do need to import it, which means I think also we need to export it. How do you do that? Just export? We don't have anything else from plotter yet. Is that in workflows? It's in common. Oh. Import. Okay, here we go. That's true. So now it gets called here, the workflow gets passed in. Nothing else uses this. We could get rid of that arrow notation, truthfully. Oh well. Alright, let's see, I guess if all that works. That was a lot of refactoring. Nope. Failed to resolve chart.js auto from plotter. Module not installed. Yeah, I don't think that's right. Actually, that is how it was. But the path won't be the same anymore. Well, would it? I don't know. Module not installed? That says /auto. And that says -auto. What is that about? Okay, that's interesting. Oh, we switched to 1 for some reason. Wonder if it's gonna be broken. What? Alright. That was successful. Now this setup is over there as well, and this is working too. Sweet. Can add more values now without the line. So one thing is, yeah, like I set the number of values relatively low due to the fact that the grid lines started to get really, really thick. Animation I never actually did I? Because it's still animating. So that's going to be back in setup. Options animation was the high level one. Yeah, it's a little snappier. Obviously, it doesn't feel as smooth anymore. I mean, part of that is that the code has got a 1 second interval right now, right? Like, if we change the code, it will get a lot snappier. 10 times faster. Yeah, see, now we're really rolling. You get a lot more smooth action. Could probably make it faster than this, even. Sine wave action. It's a pretty good sine wave for just hand curling this thing. Be really good if I could get all 3 going. Look at that. Oh. Oh. This has happened. Oh. That time it just reset. This has happened to me a few times, actually. I think that I'm like staticking. I think I might be staticking through the I2C sensor. This sensor is connected over I2C stemma. And I think I might be like, I was holding the board. And I think that it might just be like getting a little static action, and that caused it to reset. And I've actually had it to where it stopped finding the I2C device. So like completely power cycled it. It's more fun than it really has any right to be. It's quite fun. Okay. I think I like it without the animate better. I guess we could put another checkbox? Is that important enough for its own checkbox? Oh, we need a label on this. Grid lines, yeah, there we go. So do we want to make another label in a checkbox? I don't necessarily want to go more than one row, but we do have some space left over. We do have to account for the fact that this is responsive too, though. Like, ultimately, this can shrink pretty far. That's basically the point where everything stops shrinking, and that pretty much is showing only the one drop down, and we would not really have room for a check mark. We're actually cutting off the chart a tiny bit already as well, though. So here is pretty much the smallest width you can be and still see everything, which is about half the size, right? We started out around here, and the biggest size is there. We could say anim would keep it kind of short, I guess. I don't know if it's important enough to add a setting for. I think I'm just going to leave it turned off. I want to see one more closer on the grid lines, though. Could we? What happens if we tap that just a little close? I think 777 is the background of the other thing, so let's see what happens if we land these on 666. Are they, like, impossible to see, or they still show up? They still show up. It's kind of nice. I think I like that. The borders, truthfully, could be a tad darker, or I mean lighter, I should say. I have no idea how you do that. Border. Currently struggling how to apply CircuitPython on PyCharm. I'm not sure what you mean by how to apply exactly. Like, if you could be more specific about what you're trying to do or what problem you're having, I could try to help you further. One thing I can tell you to check out is the welcome CircuitPython advanced PyCharm. This is the setup process that I use to get going with CircuitPython and PyCharm. But if you do have a more specific problem, or like what you're trying to do and what is not working about it, I'd be willing to offer whatever help I can. That's a YouTube chat, by the way, for anybody that is not seeing the YouTube. Border, yes. Assume that's going to be like border, but border color. Okay. That's actually pretty much what we want. This is not really the page that's truly talking about it. I think that's actually what we want. Okay, so this is back in. All right, that makes sense, I guess. Yeah, it's back to per scale. Scale is basically the axis. So border, you can do color. Actually, that said border color like that. I don't know if that's going to work, or if, because this said it was inside border, so I don't know. We'll see. Maybe there's a shortcut. Let's make it the same, or do we go maybe one step darker? Maybe this one could be the 5s. Why? Okay, that's why. 2 of these. This is my current issue. It says the IDE platform detect version was unable to identify the board or the microcontroller running on the Windows platform. Okay, so are you trying to use a microcontroller? Like, do you have a... I'm quite new to Python. I was a C developer, just trying out Python. Yeah, first of all, no worries. Don't need to be sorry. I'm happy to help out. Are you trying to use a microcontroller? So, like, do you have a device? I mean, you used to do C, I guess, so you know the deal with these. Do you have a thing plugged in, or are you trying to run something just, like, on your computer directly? Or what? If you have a microcontroller, then you are accidentally running your thing on your computer instead of putting it on the microcontroller to get it to run there. That's what that error makes me think. If you are trying to run on a microcontroller, you're probably accidentally running on your computer using Raspberry Pi Pico. Okay, are you pressing like the run like here? Because that you would not do that for CircuitPython. Instead, for CircuitPython, you just want to open up the CodePy that's on your drive, and then you can edit it and save it. And then if you have the default settings still, then it will just auto reload. Sometimes I disable the auto reload, so then you could go to the REPL reload with Control-C, Control-D. But yeah, you don't want to use the play button. I'm guessing you got that error if you did click the play button. Instead, you just want to save that into CodePy on your device, and then if you need help, like if your device is not listed in here, then this guide that I linked shows how to set that up with this section right here. Basically, it boils down to like adding a content root of wherever the drive is at. If you're on Windows, it'll be like D : whatever, or whatever drive letter it is. All right, where are we at here? I think I saved it. Did I ever load it after that? Let's see, we got halfway. I don't think that worked. That still looks pretty much black to me, so let's try the way that it seems like the docs actually have it, which is an object and then a color. In fact, I'm just gonna copy this. I'm probably not going to make it the full 2 hours today. I usually stream for about 2 hours. Sometimes we go over if I'm in the thick of it, working on something. I'm probably not going to make it quite to 2 hours today. Might not make it too much longer, truthfully. I'm a little tired today. Did not sleep super well. I think, is that too light? We need to go ever so slightly darker. I don't think we need the full black for sure, but I do think maybe a tad darker is probably going to be good. Oops, I already did that. Shoot. It's fun to play with when it's fast like this. I do like those borders, though. I think that's probably good. I got some code in there that updates the scale automatically, which is cool, too. That took a minute to get it working right, but now it keeps it so that the top will always be 10 higher than the highest value, and the bottom will always be 10 lower than the lowest value. That way it'll make sure to always keep all your data in frame, basically. Do I want to do anything else right this moment? It's honestly looking pretty good. So when the vertical lines, when they get that tight, it starts, like, I don't think it looks that great. So that's where maybe that's where, like, Y only could come into. It's kind of fun. I wonder if it can take full speed. If we just don't sleep at all, is it gonna choke or no? It's actually doing it. Look at that. That's pretty cool. I actually kind of figured that would be a bit too much for it. And you could you do even bigger data sets? It is starting to get a bit weird. Oh, and it's slowing way down. Okay. Yeah, 1,000, definitely too much. Hopefully my whole computer doesn't die. Not sure how we get out of this. Let's see. Maybe we can just kill that. Oh, yeah, there we go. Possibly we can just reconnect. Make sure the thing does not say 1,000. Oops. Oh. Guess that's a per tab thing. You can let that go fast, but we want to make sure not to do more than, I don't know, 100 seemed fine. I wouldn't probably go, I would guess maybe 200 was okay, because we lasted a while before it really started getting terrible. But I would probably not recommend too much more than a few hundred, 2, maybe 3. I'm not going to push it to try and find the limit, but makes it fairly impossible to actually see the real data too when it's going this fast. Okay, let's slow that back down. We don't need to go quite that fast. How do I flash? I notice I can't use the green play button like you mentioned. Yeah, you can't use the play button. By default, you don't really have to flash it. By default, if you're using CircuitPython just stock right out of the box and you haven't made any changes to like the boot.py file or anything like that, then by default you don't need to like flash it per se. All you need to do is just save the CodePy file. So when I make an edit to this file, like if we were going to make that 0.2, so my editor now shows this is unsaved because of that blue dot. That's another thing that this guide shows how to do. By default, there's autosave and it doesn't have that, but this guide shows how to disable the autosave and how to make it so it will show the dot. And then all I have to do is save it. So I'm just going to press Control S. Like we could even make this one over here and leave this one over here. So I'm just going to press Control S right here. That's going to save CodePy. And then we can watch right here that it will automatically reload like that. So as soon as you save this file, if you're using the default settings, the microcontroller will reset, it will reread CodePy and re-execute it. So it's like pretty much saving it just is the flashing process. You can disable that behavior. So that's what I was saying. If you're using default behavior only, then you'll get that. If you have made changes, then potentially you won't. But I'm guessing that you probably have not done that. The bootpy stuff. That's the way that I do it. You could try to just leave the autosave on, and then like as soon as you make a change, it would save it. It kind of interrupts your flow because it's like PyCharm is always saving, and then this device will just always be rebooting anytime you change any code. But you could try it that way. I kind of like it this way, where it's autosave is off, and then I essentially just use Control S as my like flash button, pretty much, right? I press Control S, and that causes it to reset and run. Feel free, I know you're on YouTube here, feel free to join us over on Discord. If you come over to, I think that's linked, is that still down below? Yeah, the Discord link that's down below. If you join that Discord, there's a help with CircuitPython channel, and you can ask questions about PyCharm in there if you have more. How's it going, Ty? I think this was a little bit ago. I missed it until just now. How's it going? Let's see. Is this the Arduino serial monitor charting equivalent functionality? I was going to recreate something similar with a few alternative ingestion formats. Super relieved to see you having a crack at it. I've got many things to do in the to-do list. Nice. Yes, yeah, pretty much. I relate it to Mu more than Arduino because I don't use Arduino that much. I didn't actually know that Arduino had a serial one in there. But maybe we saw some of those in the search thing. But yeah, if Arduino has a serial, has a chart thing in there, the same way Mu does, then this is pretty much that, but for the CircuitPython web IDE. And it does, I don't know what all formats are supported by any of the other ones, really. I don't know what all formats are specifically supported by Mu, or what all formats are specifically supported by Arduino. The formats that this one supports are list, which is what it's doing now. So you can just print out a list from your Python code and that will work. Tuple, which is the commented line above it, so just parentheses instead of square brackets, pretty much, right? Tuple will work, and then the last one is just comma-separated strings, so no tuple, no list, no starting character, just value, comma. I think the space is probably optional, I'm not sure, though. But like comma space value, comma space value, comma space value. Arduino does, but I think it uses a tuple, which must have one separator, like, gotcha. Yeah. So I am sort of familiar with the way the tuples are like that. If you have only, like, if you want to have a tuple of one thing, pretty much, if you want to have a tuple of one thing, then the syntax is weird because you need parentheses and then you need a comma after. This one does not. This one does alleviate that problem a little bit. If you consider it a problem, you can't, because we support the comma separated one, it means that we also support just directly a single value. So you can just plop a single value right in there. That should work just the same. We will need to clear, I think, because no, okay. Yeah, these are not. I didn't even know what that was, a dictionary with a single key that doesn't have a value. I don't even know what that syntax would be technically. There we go. Okay, yeah. So you can just print a single value by itself, no commas, nothing else, and it will come out as number 0, basically. These are just the index within the either comma separated or tuple or list. Nice. Yeah. Curious how date time and timestamps work out. Presumably only ticks or seconds are supported. Otherwise, the string dates would need to be others. So right now, there's no time stamping occurring. Right now, whatever speed you print at, this thing will work at. And in fact, we had I don't know exactly how long ago you joined. A little bit ago, though, we had it running like full tilt here. So no sleep at all, and it will just chug along as fast as it can. it doesn't, right now at least, it doesn't print anything down here. There's no, the y-axis, no, the x-axis, excuse me, the x-axis, the horizontal axis, let's call it that, is unlabeled currently. And the technological reason for that is very specifically when we call add data value, we're adding an empty label right here. I did at one point, I keep doing Python comments. Chart object, you can do whatever you want here. But one thing that I consider at least a little bit of a problem is that they get very tight if you have a lot of values. So like you're kind of like, you can either have this or you can have a lot of values. If you try to do both, it starts getting a little wonky on you. But you could do something like new date right here. This would probably not look very good, but it will technically now be time-stamped. Last question. We'll join the Discord if I can find out the solution. It says device path is not specified. Please check the settings. This is on REPL. Device path is not specified. It says that when you save, or and if so, like if it is saying that when you save, what is your actual code? Yeah, so these are obviously very, very, very long, which makes this look comical. You could trim this down some, right? Like you could figure out, you could, I don't know how to do it off the top of my head in JavaScript, but you know, date string parsing or whatever, date string formatting, date string format. To local date string. I don't know. I don't really want local though. Can I format it just arbitrarily? Pass in like $D or whatever. Y. Custom date format. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know the best solution. I think this is obviously way too long. So this is no good. I don't, you know, this is making this all tiny. Obviously that's way too big. Maybe if we had formatting, I've never seen this. This I'm familiar with. How do you pass that in? Like a short numeric? I guess you just do only the ones you want, I suppose. So just go down to, you do millisecond? I have no idea if that's a real value or if that thing just like hallucinated that 2-digit. It probably just hallucinated it because of the 2 digits over here, honestly. I don't know. This one's probably not even real. Typo. Well, it's certainly not spelled right. I don't know how to fix it. Rename to. Yes. Name to the right way to spell it. I don't know, man. No, don't refactor it. Just fix it. There shouldn't even be anything using it. I think it's just another L, right? Avoid time date like the plague, even a dedicated library like moment. Yeah, against using guessing auto parsing. Yeah, that's the other problem with times is like, as soon as it starts showing time, it will be not what somebody wants it to be, right? It will, you know, it'll be UTC or it will be local, and they'll want the other, or they'll want to be able to set it, or I mean, when it's going this fast, it's on a scale where it doesn't really matter. even like hours and minutes don't really matter at this scale. I don't know, can we, I don't know, is it gonna like put colons? I don't know if this will work. Let's see what this actually does. Somehow there must be a way to do a custom format, like where you define the format string, like you can in Python with the str format, str format, date.str format, I think, or whatever. Okay, so milliseconds definitely didn't work. Looks like AM PM just comes automatically because we don't have that, but it's still doing it. In this case, it's also cutting off the hours because they're down below, which is not great. So, yeah. The options for the time are a little bit limited, essentially. We'd have to figure out a short enough string that could go here, that could make sense and actually contain useful information, that kind of accounts for the fact that we're not really in control of the speed of this. This could be coming at 1 data per second. This could be coming at 5 datas per second. This could be coming at 1 data per minute. Inside of here, we don't really have any sense. I mean, we could keep track of it, I guess, in the JavaScript code and see how fast it's coming and try to like, yeah, I definitely don't want to go that far with it, but so yeah, for now I think empty label just makes it so it doesn't show anything down there. You do have to add the empty string in order for it to actually show the data thing, which I think is a little bit weird, truthfully, but it is how it works. Let's check, yeah. Device path not specified. I'm not familiar with that exact error, device path not specified. And if it says that error in your REPL, like in your serial console that's connected to your device, then it's likely to be that error message is maybe from the code that you're trying to run. So if you do, especially if you do join the Discord and the Help with CircuitPython channel, you could post there and you could post the code that you're using. And there will be people there, maybe not right away. Like you need to have a little bit of patience as well. It's not just like somebody could answer you instantaneously all the time, but there will be people who check in on it throughout the days, and somebody may be able to help you out there. I think that I'm going to wrap it up for now, though. I'm a little bit tired today, like I said. I may go try and take a nap. I don't know if it's actually going to work or not, but we'll see how it goes. I will push this. I think it's closer. Still probably not quite ready to come out of draft. So for anyone interested, this is in a PR on the web editor repo, which is over on CircuitPython.org rather than Adafruit.org. So if you want to give it a try, that's where you can find the code right now. I will commit again. It is in draft state right now, the PR, just because I think it's not finalized yet. Like, especially there's a couple chunks like this commented out, which should either be removed or cleaned up or whatever. There's potentially still some changes to make. I do think it would be cool to have a scatter chart. So I'm pretty sure, to the best of my knowledge, Mu, and then I assume probably Arduino, does not have a scatter chart. But we can actually make a scatter chart, which might be cool. So you could give it 2 values, and then it would plot like the intersection scatter of those values. I don't know, on a magnetometer, I'm not sure that's very useful. But on some other kind of sensors or some other kind of inputs, maybe that would make sense to where you would want to scatter plot that instead of line chart. I think that could be pretty cool. There's a bunch of others, realistically, that we could do in time, but line and scatter are the 2 I have my eye on closest. Looks like great progress, nice one. No scatter to my knowledge, that might be really useful. Yeah, I think so as well. All right, did this push? Let's see. Nope, not yet. Let's do that. What did we do? We toned down the grid lines. We added grid line select refactored setup plotter to plotter JS. Yeah, I think that's pretty much what we did. Good enough for the commit message, at least. 10 errors. Yeah, I noticed that there's like ESLint or whatever. It's got some errors that show up, but they're not in the code that I actually changed. I'll follow the guide you mentioned. I might have missed out on something. I'll start out on scratch. Yep. Yeah, that guide, and I wrote that. So if you do it, if you're going through this and you have any trouble, again, feel free to join the Discord. You can even ping me if you want, Foamy Guy, on there. So if there is anything in here that doesn't work out the same or whatever, it's a little bit out of date. Like I think PyCharm 2023 maybe is what I recorded it with. So like I know they tweak stuff here and there all the time. So if anything is not quite right, just feel free to ping me on the Discord and I'll update it. I like to try to keep this up to date because I refer back to it as well when I set up my new IDEs. Okay. I'm going to head out for now. Thank you for watching, everybody. I will be back next week at the normal time, Saturday, 10 a.m. Central Time, I should be. Same as I said last night, I haven't talked to Scott about Deep Dive. As far as I know, Scott's back for Deep Dive next week, but again, I don't know, so don't hold me or him to it. But I should be back next week, Saturday, as far as I know. So until then, I will bid you farewell. Hope you have a nice week and weekend, and see you later.